Welcome to the Reconnection Club podcast, the show that helps parents heal troubled relationships with their adult sons and daughters. I'm your host, psychotherapist Tina Gilbertson. Each week, I'll offer you compassion, clarity, and personal development tips designed to help you reconnect, not only with your child, but with yourself. Now let's get started. You've heard me talk about apologies as a relationship repair tool that can help you begin to heal your relationship with your estranged adult child or children. But, I hear you ask, what exactly should you apologize for? If you're asking this question, first of all, you're not alone. This comes up all the time when I'm talking with parents. And secondly, I appreciate your asking this question at all. The fact that you're open to apologizing, even though you may not be aware of any transgressions beyond normal parenting mistakes, well, that puts you squarely on the more open-minded end of the spectrum. And it's a lot easier for me to help you repair your relationship with your child because you're open to the idea that there might be something you could apologize for. And third, the things you have to apologize for might be exactly the same things that other parents do, and their children don't ask for apologies and don't cut them off. That's difficult. I'd like you to try not to get too hung up on that discrepancy, though, because when it comes to parents who get cut off, short of extremely aversive behavior, there's some randomness involved. Unfortunately, you may just be someone who happens to have won a lottery that no parent wants to win. Your choice now is to either work with what you've got or to give up and don't even try. I want you to try to reconnect with your child for your sake, but also for theirs. I'd like you to be able to create a mutually satisfying relationship that can last a lifetime. So I'm going to use today's episode to try to help you move out of unproductive confusion and into some useful next steps. The first idea to consider is that if you're asking this question, what should I apologize to my child for? Then an apology is either unnecessary or premature. Let's go, for the purposes of this episode, with premature. If you were looking for a new job, you wouldn't go into an office building, pick a floor at random, open a door and say to the receptionist, "I'd like to apply for a job with your company." You'd never apply for a job without knowing the name of the company, something about what they do, and at least the kinds of positions that might be available. Not if you want it to be successful. But that's exactly what some parents are planning to do by reaching out to their child without sufficient preparation. They don't know what the child's needs are that apparently haven't been met in the relationship, so they don't yet have ideas about how to address those needs. Back to the job seeker analogy, people who succeed in getting hired have usually done some homework ahead of time. They're familiar with the company, they know which positions, if any, are currently open, and really clever candidates might be able to get themselves hired even if there are no positions open at the moment, because they've done enough research to know what the company desperately needs. They can make themselves seem so indispensable that it's clear it would be foolish not to hire them. Parents of estranged adult children who succeed in reopening lines of communication have prepared for reconnection. They've made themselves attractive by acquiring and then demonstrating an understanding of the current needs of the adult child. I've talked and written extensively about how to figure out and try to address those needs. If you haven't already done so, you might want to pick up a copy of my book, Reconnecting with Your Estranged Adult Child. It's all about understanding the needs that we share and addressing them in yourself and your child. Mostly, this question of what to apologize for comes up because parents haven't taken the steps to reconnection in order. So as an action item for today, go back and listen to episodes 97, 98, and 99, in which I outlined a roadmap to reconnection. And let those episodes inspire your next step. But if you already have a very good idea of what the trouble is from your child's point of view, And maybe you're just looking for some language that makes it clear you understand and that you mean what you're saying. Here's a quick tip. Don't just apologize for things or behavior and leave it at that. Like, don't just say, I'm really sorry I did X or Y or Z. It's good to be specific about what you did, but if you only mention the thing you did without showing that you understand why it matters, you're missing some important elements of a good apology, namely validation and remorse. Those together create an implicit, believable promise that things can be different and better. Validation focuses on your child's experience of what happened, rather than the simple facts. It's the difference between saying, I'm sorry I divorced your father, which is just a fact, and saying, I'm sorry I didn't spend more time listening to your feelings. I'm afraid I didn't help you feel as if you mattered when I divorced your father. That expresses both validation and remorse, but also requires a lot of reflection and courage from the parent, not to mention self-compassion. For more on what goes into an effective apology, listen to episode 23, which is called 3 Elements of a Good Apology. In the second point of that episode, I give a real-life example of an apology that was focused on the thing and showed no understanding of why that thing was problematic for the adult child. You can find that episode at reconnectionclub.com/23. Developing a clear picture of your child's experience so that you can offer an effective apology is hard work. It's time-consuming, and, as you can imagine, or as you already know, can be quite painful. The ugly monster of regret is always waiting to pounce on parents who look back, and good parents end up being way harder on themselves than they should be. But if you really want to know what to apologize for, there's no substitute for doing that work of looking back and putting the pieces together from the child's point of view. So the short answer is, if you have to ask what to apologize for, it's really too early for you to apologize. The apology is not likely to go over well before you've done more homework. Just in brief, let's talk about that homework for a second. There are 2 different kinds. One is gathering information, which you can do either with or without your child's help. If you're lucky, your estranged adult child will tell you what the problem is. It will hurt to hear it, but in practical terms, you'll have a head start over parents who don't get this from their children. Even if you have to start from scratch, though, lots of good information is out there for parents that can help you figure out what some of the issues are that are likely affecting your child's decision to maintain distance. So that's one part of the homework, the intellectual part, understanding with your brain. But the other part for most rejected parents is even more important, and that is emotional healing. Until you've healed your own emotional injuries, you will never truly understand the feelings of your child or children. I want to say that again. Until you've healed your own emotional injuries, you will never truly understand the feelings of your child or children. And as long as you don't understand, you'll struggle to offer an apology that's truly effective. So when you're not sure what to apologize for, go to the 2 sources of information that can, in time, help you answer that question. One is resources like this podcast, my book, The Reconnection Club, and so on, that exist to help you understand things intellectually. And the other is therapy, counseling, trauma work, etc., to help you with personal emotional healing. There's so much available from sources other than your child to help you answer the question of what to apologize for yourself. If you do your intellectual and especially your emotional homework, you will get there. And if you'd like some suggestions for where to start, just post in the Reconnection Club forums and ask for ideas based on some basic information about your relationship. You can do this. Resources and information are waiting for you, and you are not alone. Until next time, remember that you are a loving, lovable, and still growing human being. So please take good care of yourself. Bye for now. If you've enjoyed this episode of the Reconnection Club podcast, I invite you to check out reconnectionclub.com. The Reconnection Club is for parents at any stage of estrangement from their adult, child, or children. So whether you've just realized there's trouble between you, you've been living with estrangement for years, or you're newly reconciled but still walking on eggshells, the Reconnection Club is your essential resource for information, support, and continued personal growth. With our courses and workshops, expert interviews, monthly Q&A calls, and a friendly, active community, the Reconnection Club is a wonderful place to be for anyone suffering the pain of estrangement from an adult, child, or children. So check it out at reconnectionclub.com.